So once again, thank you for the opportunity. So, uh, uh, so today, with your permission, I wanted to speak a little bit about the actual Yashoda Damodar Lila. So, for those of you who have come for a while, we every Kartik we do speak about it, and the Lila of course doesn't change. But what changes is our realizations. What changes is our appreciation. Every time we hear, we it's the nature of Krishna that he is Navyogan, that he is always youthful, and everything related with him is always new, including his leelas,
and sweeter,
and becomes sweeter with our realizations also. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagunalalita Shri Vishakhavitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarupayasya Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachanam pangam nagate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinataram Paramanandam Mahatmam. So the Damodar Lila appears, as we understand most of Krishna Katha, in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, and to a great extent this month is called Damodar Mas because of the Damodar Lila that appears here. So literally speaking, Damodar, so Udar means belly, and Dam means to tie. So Damodar means being tied around the belly. And in this month of Kartik, there are actually 3 Damodar Leelas that happen, of course with different ages of Krishna. So the most famous, of course, is the Yashoda Damodar Leela. There is the Radha Damodar Leela also that happens, and Krishna is older. And then there is the Gopa Damodar Lila. There is also the Gopas who do a similar pastime, and that is on Bahulakshmi. On that day, it's done. Yashoda Damodar Lila is the most famous because of its sweetness, and also because of so many lessons that it gives to us. So, one thing in the Bhagavatam is philosophy pretending to be a story. And you can read it like a story, but if you have to get the nectar, then it's also helpful to understand the underlying philosophy. Jiva Goswami says that the Bhagavatam is at the same level as the Vedanta Sutras, which is a little difficult to comprehend. Because the Vedanta Sutras are very, very complex, terse sutras, small Sanskrit phrases that condense in them large amounts of philosophical realizations. But then in Tattva Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami proves it, that the Bhagavatam is the same as the Vedanta Sutra, and in a way it's better because it's easily understandable. So if somebody comes and speaks something that is very high philosophy, complicated, then there's no benefit to it. I don't know if any of you have read the books or heard Gindu Krishnamurti speaking. So nobody understands what he says. It's very, very difficult. He's dead now, but when he was speaking, he was one of the leading philosophers in India, the impersonalist, but almost impossible to understand what he says. So while he had a lot of realizations, but his ability to communicate was limited, and ability to influence the people was limited, because that was who he was. He was most comfortable speaking in complex philosophical terms. Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would speak in very, very complex terms. He would stand and give lectures, and people would run away because they wouldn't understand what he was speaking. And of course, it did not mitigate his potency. He was an influential spiritualist, but that was his nature. If somebody has read Brahma Samhita is translated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and it was interesting that one of the devotees in ISKCON, they wrote a translation on the translation of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, just to simplify the phrases, etc. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So that's the beauty of the Bhagavatam, that it expresses a lot of complexity in easy to understand, simple terms. So when the Yashoda Damodar Lila was happening, this happens when Krishna was living in Gokul. So when they were living in that area, then they actually lived in 3 areas. So when Krishna was born, he was born in Gokul. And then after a couple of years, they moved to Vrindavan. And then after a couple of years, they moved to Nandagram. And after that, Krishna left and we moved to Mathura. So this is when Krishna was around 2 years old, and they were living in Gokul. And Krishna and Balaram had reached the stage where they had begun to walk. So they would walk around the village, and the whole village was theirs. There were no closed doors. So they would go to people's houses and steal butter and eat from there. And then the gopis would come and complain to Yashoda Mai that your son is you don't feed him properly. He's always in our house eating butter, and we don't mind that he eats the butter, but whatever he can't eat, he throws it away, or he breaks it, or he gives it to the monkeys. So we spend so much of time preparing butter, and he's coming and disturbing. And of course, this was just the gopis also having fun. Actually, all the gopis waited for Krishna to come and steal butter. So acharyas say that that's the mood of a devotee, that when their heart is churned and all contaminations are removed, then the heart is pure. And then the devotee patiently waits for Krishna to come and steal their heart. So the gopis would make the best quality of butter. And then they would put it enticingly, and they would wait and pray that Krishna comes and steals it. Of course, when Krishna would steal it, they would go and complain to Yashoda Mai that Krishna is stealing. So then Yashoda Mai became concerned. She didn't want her son to grow up to be a dacoit. And she said that, he's just 2 years old. I'm not sure. Neither from my side nor from my husband's side we have any heritage of having thieves in our family. But he seems to be predisposed to being a thief. And if you don't stop him now, he'll become a dacoit later on. So as a mother, I think the first thing she said is maybe the butter that I churn is not good quality butter. So I'll make even better quality butter. So she had some special cows that were known as I think Pushpaganda's cows, like Pushpaganda. So they were special because their milk was fragrant, like lotus. They ate special kind of grass also. So so this is early morning time, and then Yashoda Mai, she is getting up and trying to get her work finished before Krishna wakes. So Krishna is sleeping, and then she takes the milk that she has specially taken from these cows. She puts it in a vessel, and she begins to heat the milk. No, I'm sorry. She begins to she puts some milk for heating, and then while it's heating, she begins to churn the milk to get butter out of it. And then Sukdev Goswami in Bhagavatam, he spends several verses describing Yashoda Mai churning the milk to get butter out of it. He describes her bangles. He describes the necklace. He describes the drops of perspiration that are appearing on the forehead of Mother Yashoda. He describes the hair, how they are going in disarray. And the acharyas say that if you look at the context in which the Bhagavatam is being spoken, there's Parikshit Maharaj. He's been cursed to die in 7 days. And he's requested Sukadeva Goswami to give him the highest essence of dharma that would help him transition over to the next world. And here Sukadeva Goswami is describing the bangles and hair and the drops of perspiration and the color of the blouse of Yashoda Mataji. So why is that? Sukadeva Goswami as an acharya, he's cognizant that there is a clock that is ticking. And Acharya explained the reason is that Krishna is not different from his devotees. That just like we get enormous benefits from meditating on the deity of Krishna, just like we get enormous benefits on meditating on the holy name or on the words. Similarly, and Sukadeva Goswami is an exalted devotee, we get enormous benefits by meditating on the qualities of Krishna's devotees. So Yashoda Mai, she's a pure devotee of Krishna, and Sukadeva Goswami, he's actually seeing this happen while he's narrating it. And as he sees it, he's appreciating a pure devotee of Krishna engaged in the service of Krishna. And that's the mood that he wants us also to observe. Sometimes we think that devotion is just between me and Krishna. But that is a covered form of impersonalism. The mood that we have is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am just slightly below him. So that's why I have a direct relationship with him. But actually, we are millions and millions and billions of times separated down below. And there are so many devotees. There's a Guru Maharaj, the disciplic succession, there is the pure devotees, the Nitya Siddhas, and then there are the eternal associates of Krishna, like Nanda Baba and Yashoda and Arjuna and Yudhishthira, whose positions are fixed. And we are constantly trying to serve the person who's serving him and serving. So the first lesson that we get is that Krishna consciousness is executed through the mercy and service of devotees. So while all this is going on, and Sukadeva Goswami also describes that while she is churning the butter, she's also singing. And she is singing songs that she herself has composed in glories of Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, and describing Krishna. So that's the mood of devotee, that all facilities are engaged in the service. That with her hand she is churning the milk, with her mind she is thinking about Krishna, and with her tongue she is chanting the glories, with her ears she is hearing Krishna Katha. So completely absorbed spontaneously in the service of Krishna. So Krishna in the meantime gets up. Now he was not supposed to get up, and mothers generally have a good idea about the routine of the children. So that's why Yashodamaya had kept him there and was working, but he got up. Krishna is independent, just like children are independent. Sukdev Goswami says that when Krishna goes to sleep, it is called Yoga Nidra. When we go to sleep, it's Nidra. So sleeping is a mode of ignorance. Because when we are sleeping, we know nothing about nothing. But when Krishna is sleeping, then his consciousness doesn't get covered. He is still connected. So yoga, literal translation of yoga is being connected. So like Garbhadaksha Vishnu, he's sleeping on Ananta Shesh. But it's Yoga Nidra. Because while he's sleeping, he is cognizant of each and everything that is going on in the universe. Right down to the smallest atom. He's cognizant of that. So Krishna awoke, and then he sees that his mother is not there, and then he hears the sound of his mother singing. So following the sound, he goes to where his mother is. And his mother is churning the milk with the rod, and Krishna reaches out and he holds the rod. And by holding the rod, he stops the mother from churning. So Yashodamaya is very pleased. She's very pleased that my son, he has become so strong that just by his grasp, he has stopped the rod from churning. So mothers are they monitor all that very closely. That how strong is the grasp of the child, how firm is he sitting up. So she's appreciating the fact that Krishna's grasp has become so strong that he went and held the churning rod and stopped it. Krishna also did not pull on his mother's choli or did not hold his mother's hand. He actually reached out and stopped the churning of the milk. So that is Krishna's nature. So acharyas say that the churning of the milk is the churning of the Vedas by the Gyanis. So the nature of the Gyanis or the mental speculators is that they will read the Vedas and they will churn it and they will extract so many explanations out of it. If you read the commentary by Sripad Shankaracharya, a great person, but doing his duty, you see that how he churns the Sanskrit of the verses. That when Krishna says surrender unto me, he does not mean surrender unto me. He says that surrender unto the you that's into me, and that's how we come to this. So he goes through so many gyrations, and Krishna reaching out and stopping it means that bas, no need to do all this mental speculation, no need to do all this analysis of the Vedas. I am the Vedanta, and I am standing right in front of you. Conclusions of all the Vedas. So it said all the Vedas are summarized in the Bhagavad Gita, and the Bhagavad Gita is summarized in the Sarvadharma Parityajaya verse. Krishna says, surrender unto me. So that is the Vedanta. So Krishna is saying that I am the Vedanta, I am standing here in front of me. Why are you unnecessarily going through all these tribulations? Also it shows that So Krishna could have tried to hold his mother's hand, or he could have pulled at it, but he did not. So Krishna goes at the root of everything. So the root of what was happening was the churning of the milk with the churning rod. So he simply reached out and stopped it. So when Krishna comes into our lives, he never comes superficially into our lives. That when we take to Krishna consciousness in a sincere way, then Krishna does what is known as excavations. That he excavates so many misconceptions. He excavates so many of our bad habits, of our past sinful reactions. He goes to the root of it. The root is Jivere Sarupa Nitya Krishna Das. That's the root of our existence. In a conditioned stage, it gets coated by the false ego. And then in an instantiated stage, it gets colored by the three modes of material nature. So there are so many aspects of the Vedas that deal with things superficially, which is just swadharma. What you should do as a husband, what you should do as a father, what you should do as a wife. Krishna speaks about the root, that what should you do as a jiva, what should you do as an eternal spirit soul. So after having successfully stopped his mother from churning the milk, Krishna, he climbs on his mother's lap. And Yashoda Maya at this point is not offering any help to Krishna. She is simply watching him and smiling. But Krishna, he's just 2 years old, but he catches hold of his mother's lap and pulls himself up and goes and sits over there. And when Krishna comes into your life, then that is what Krishna does. He'll come, he'll forcibly take his position in your heart, and he does not wait for a formal invitation. When by the mercy of a devotee Krishna comes into your life, then Krishna actually forces himself into your life. There's this incident about one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and he was doing a lot of book distribution. And then one day he got really fried out. He said, all day I'm distributing books. All day people are saying Hare Krishna, I'm getting tired of all this Hare Krishna business. I just want to get away from these devotees. So he was just an impetuous young man. So we went to the airport, caught a flight to Alaska. He got off at the plane in Alaska, and then there was, a person said, Hare Krishna, have you read the Bhagavad Gita? So, he didn't go out of the airport, he just caught the next flight back. He says, there's no escaping Krishna, so what's the point going to Alaska? So when Krishna comes into your life, then he's very tenacious that way, that he, because of a conditioned state, we may try to push him out. He's patient, but he's tenacious also. He'll keep coming back again and again. That's why Krishna says that, once somebody has chanted my name, once somebody has served me, given me an obeisance, smallest thing that they have done, then the person's return back to the spiritual world is assured. Why? Because Krishna is aware of his tenacity. He says, I'm not going to leave them. I'm going to be after them. What depends upon us is how long do we take to let Krishna take us back. Prabhupada would say, do it this lifetime, it's good. But if not, Krishna is patient, he'll wait for next lifetime, or he'll wait for 1,000,000 lifetimes. For Krishna, time is inconsequential, but for us it is, especially when we are suffering. So that's what Prabhupada would say, that Krishna has no problem waiting, you have problems waiting. So don't spend too much time here. So Yashoda Maya as a mother, she understood, when the child gets onto the lap and assumes a position, she understood that he wants to be fed. And Yashoda Maya, she begins to feed him her breast milk. And Krishna he's happily is happily drinking the milk of Mother Yashoda, and that's the mood of Krishna. That even though he is always happy, but he's especially happy when he is receiving the bhakti of his devotees. So it is the levels of perfection. So because Krishna is the personality of Godhead, it's not possible for him to be unhappy. But he's happy, happier, happiest. And he's happiest when the devotee is offering everything, the essence of what they have, to Krishna. So what happens now? Mother Yashoda, she was multitasking. So while she was churning the milk, she had put some milk on the stove, the milk was getting heated, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that in the spiritual world, everything is chit. Chit means everything is conscious. So in the material world, everything is jad, with the exception of the jivas. Everything is jad, it is dead matter. But in the spiritual world, it's opposite. That everything is conscious. Every grain of sand is conscious. Every drop of water, every tree, everything is fully conscious. So the milk that was being heated on the stove, they saw that Krishna was happily drinking the milk of his mother. And they knew Krishna's nature. That when Krishna is receiving the nectar from his devotee, then he is never going to stop. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, and the milk says that, what is the point in our living now? We were anticipating that we would get an opportunity to serve Krishna, so let us just jump into the fire and give up our lives. So the milk, it starts, so when the milk is heated, it starts bubbling up. So the milk started bubbling up, and then the milk realized that this is not what devotees do. That whether Krishna accepts our service or not, our mood of service should always remain as it is. So it stayed at a point where it was bubbling, but it never actually spilled there. Now Mother Yashoda saw this, and now she had a decision to make. So this was the special milk that she wanted Krishna to have. And then she said, my milk is always there for Krishna, but if this milk goes bad or goes into the fire, then Krishna will again go and steal from others. So she had two services, right? And again, practicing devotees, they always have this challenge. There are many services that they have to balance. Somebody comes and says that, can you come and cook in the kitchen today? The person says, I have to chant my rounds. Both of them are services. Right? One is Nam Seva, one is Vaishnav Seva. Or somebody says that, can you come and clean the temple, and come to a program or whatever. There's so many. So we are always dealing with comparative services. And one of the most frequent questions that gurus or spiritual masters in ISKCON receive is that, how do I prioritize? That there are so many opportunities to serve, and devotees generally don't like saying no to services, but then there's a practical aspect of it also. And Yashoda Mai kind of went through that process, saying that how is it that I can maximize my service to Krishna? So she said that my milk is there, it's not going anywhere, but that milk, if it spills, it goes away. So the best thing for me to do is to turn the flame down on that milk, and then come back and I can resume feeding Krishna. So she places Krishna on the ground, and then she goes and she takes the milk of the flame. And as happens typically, when women go to the kitchen, then they don't stop at one thing. They'll see, okay, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So she did a few things, and when she came back, Krishna was gone. So it was not very difficult for Yashoda Mai to figure out where Krishna was gone, because she could see the pot of milk that she was churning was broken. And Krishna, he had taken a stone, and with the stone, in a way that maximized the disruption, he hit the stone at the bottom of the pot so that the whole milk and curd came split out. And then after that, Krishna became scared. So children have that. When they're naughty, so while they're being naughty, they also know that they will be punished, but doesn't stop them. So he knew he was going to get punished, but still he was upset at his mother that while she was feeding him, she interrupted it. So he broke that pot and he ran away. And of course he ran away on the milk. So Mother Yashoda, she could see his footprints. So tracing his footprints, Mother Yashoda followed him into the courtyard. And externally, she was angry at him. So she also picks up a stick to chastise him. So as she is following the footsteps, she reaches out into the courtyard, and there Krishna is sitting on an ukal. So ukal is it's an inverted ukal. So actually, if you go to Gokul, supposedly that ukal is still there. You can if you give some money, they'll let you see the ukal. So the ukal is like a pot and like a vessel, and they put spices or stuff in it, and then with a musal they grind it there. So ukals tend to be heavy. So there was an inverted ukal, and Krishna had somehow gotten on top of the ukal, and he was sitting, and when he had broken the pot, he had also picked up a lot of butter in his hand. So he had the butter with him, and he was feeding the monkeys the butter. So Krishna's back was towards Yashoda Mai, and the monkeys were facing Yashoda Mai. So even to this day in Vrindavan, when you go, the monkeys are very aggressive, but if you have a stick in your hand, they won't bother you. So one of the things I do is when I go to Vrindavan is I buy a stick. Of course, they sell it for 30 rupees for some reason. But it's just a stick. It's like a stick, and as long as you have the stick in your hand, they'll give you a respectable distance. So the monkeys were happily eating the butter from Krishna's hands, and the acharyas say that when in the Treta Yuga, Krishna had come as Lord Ram, then he had taken a lot of service from the monkeys. When they had attacked along with him Ravan, and of course Krishna gave the monkeys many benedictions, but nature of Krishna is you do little for him and he's forever grateful. He says, what more can I do? So it's said that when we give something to Krishna, we give by our hands. Our hands are this size. And when Krishna reciprocates, he gives with his own hands, and his hands are big hands. So Krishna was giving the monkeys, saying that you help me when to rescue Sita Devi. So have more monkeys, have more butter. And the monkeys were happily enjoying it, and then all of a sudden the monkeys disappeared because they saw Yashoda Mai coming with a stick. And Krishna, he was a little surprised because very difficult for monkeys to leave butter and go. So then he looks back and then he sees Mother Yashoda coming towards him. So he jumps off the grinding mortar and then he runs away. Now Krishna is a small child, and Mother Yashoda, Sukdev Goswami describes that she's a middle-aged woman, so not the most agile, and she has a stick in her hand and she's running behind Krishna, and Krishna is running away from her. So Krishna's plan of action is that so the house, these were old houses, that the courtyard was surrounded by a fence. So there's a house and there's a courtyard and there's a fence. So his plan of action is that I'll cross the courtyard, I'll go out of the fence, and then maybe Balaram will protect me, or maybe Nand Baba will protect me, or I'll go to some other gopi's house. So generally, parents don't beat up their children in front of others. In their own home, they might beat them, but outside, they're a little reluctant to beat them. So that's what Krishna is thinking, that if I go out in a more public place, then the likelihood of me getting chastised and beaten is lesser. And Mother Yashoda, she is running behind him, and she's of course concerned that if he goes out, and Krishna and Balaram used to do that they would wander off and they would get lost. So she reaches out from behind and she catches him. So when we do the Damodar Ashtakam prayer, then then Yashoda Biyu Lu Manam, that he ran away in fear of Yashoda, and Yashoda Mai running behind him caught him. So Acharyas say that from this what we understand is Yashoda Mai, she ran faster than Krishna. So it's not that she came from a side and intercepted him or tricked him, but she actually was running faster than Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita it is said that the yogis who can travel at the speed of mind can travel for thousands and thousands of years and they cannot capture Krishna. So that is how fast Krishna can be. That there is nobody in this material world who can travel faster than the yogis. The yogis have acquired the siddhis. Because how do they travel? They think of a place and then they are at that place. So they have this siddhi, that simply by thinking of the place they can go. But even these yogis, if they're traveling in this way for millions of years, they cannot even approach the toes of the lotus feet of Krishna. And Yashoda Mai, in an open contest, when Krishna had a head start, he had started running ahead of Yashoda Mai, she easily ran faster than him and caught him. So that's the potency of bhakti. Through karma and gyan and dhyan, we can try and approach Krishna. But Krishna is so far away. When we practice these forms of advancement, that many lifetimes will go and we won't even approach anywhere close. But by the potency of bhakti, just in one lifetime, we can catch Krishna. And that's because Krishna allows himself to get caught. So Yashoda Mai, she caught hold of Krishna, she caught hold of his hand. And she looked down at Krishna and she could see that his eyes were fearful. Biyolu, that his eyes were filled with fear. So Mother Yashoda understood that he was fearful of the stick in her hand. So as a child, I think his first concern was preservation. That as long as the stick is there, there's a possibility I might get beaten by the stick. So the mother's hand, he knows that is not very, it's not very painful, but the stick is a different thing. Now Yashoda Mai didn't really want to scare Krishna, so she throws the stick away. And then she drags him back to the grinding water. And she says that because the grinding water was also an accomplice of Krishna in this mischief, so while she's dragging Krishna back, she's also chastising Krishna. That you're a rascal, you're a hooligan, you're becoming uncontrollable. And Krishna, in his 2-year-old voice, he's also trying to defend himself. He's saying that don't do anything to me, otherwise I leave the house and go away. I will go to the forest and I will live there with the monkeys. And your mother Yashoda says that makes a lot of sense because you're a monkey and that's why you want to live with monkeys. And then he says that I will tell Nand Baba. So Mother Yashoda says, don't worry, I'll tell him also. So while all this conversation is happening, Yashodama is dragging Krishna back, and she's also at this point concerned that Krishna might make all his threats happen. So like he's saying, I run away from the house. So as I mentioned, Krishna had this habit along with Balram that they would wander away. And then, when it used to become dusk, then people would go around saying Krishna, Balram, Kana, and then they would find them. Sometimes they would have lost and they would be scared themselves, hiding behind a tree, or sometimes they would be just being naughty. So Mother Yashoda would have so much work to do. If he runs away, then people would have to go around searching him. And to punish him, she says that you stay over here, I'll tie you to the grinding mortar. So she takes off. So at least in rural India, women have this thing around their waist. So she takes that off, and she ties Krishna around the belly and around the grinding mortar, but the rope is short. Now in the meantime, what's happened is that the neighboring gopis, they've all congregated in the courtyard. And it's the latest edition of the serials that are going on, because when Krishna was there, every day something new would happen. So they were all excited, they were all laughing. Some of them were complaining that yes, punish him more. Some were saying let him go. So different gopis were giving him Yashoda different kind of advices that what to do, what is the best technique of tying. And Mother Yashoda, she's tying and the threads comes out to be short. So then the gopis are giving more advice, and Mother Yashoda, she gets upset and she says that, instead of giving you advice, you go out and get more thread. We said okay. So they go to their respective houses, and different gopis get different kinds of ropes and threads from their house. And Mother Yashoda, she is tying them end to end. But every time she puts it around the waist of Krishna, the rope comes out to be 2 fingers too short. So by this time, Mother Yashoda, she's perspiring, she's very tired, she's angry also. She's getting frustrated. So the acharyas say that Krishna has Ichha Shakti. So Krishna's energies are personified. Just like Krishna's external energy is personified as Maya Devi, Durga Devi, Krishna's internal energy is personified as Srimati Radharani. Then Krishna has an Ichha Shakti, and the service of Ichha Shakti is to make all of Krishna's desires come true. So Krishna does not want to get tied. So because of the potency of his Ichha Shakti, he's just not getting tied. And regardless of how many ropes that are being tied, he's not getting bound, because he does not want to be bound. So we cannot bind Krishna with karma or jnana or by performing austerities there. So sometimes people say that by my force of karma, I will attain spiritual emancipation, or by the study of the scriptures, I will attain spiritual purification. So while there is obviously, because these are all spiritual endeavors, there is some advancement, but all of this cannot bind Krishna to you. Krishna will only be bound to you when he wants to be bound to you. By our own endeavors, we can never make that possible. So just as Krishna's Ichha Shakti is powerful, Yashoda's Mai's determination is powerful. and she's determined to bind Krishna now. All the other reasons have gone away now. That he was naughty, he might run away, they don't matter. Now Yashodama is ekagrajit. I have to bind Krishna. Some gopis are saying, we'll watch him, don't worry about it. Or he's just a child. So they're giving so many mitigating reasons. But Yashodama, she has only Vivasatmika buddhi. She has only one thing in her mind, I have to bind Krishna. And then finally what happens is that even though Krishna's Ichha Shakti is powerful, Krishna's Anugraha Shakti is even more powerful. That is Krishna's mercy potency. So Krishna's mercy potency then manifests and he allows himself to be bound. So the 2 fingers too short is explained by the Acharyas as one finger represents the endeavor of the devotee, and the second finger indicates the mercy of Krishna. So both of them are needed. So we should not sit hand on hand and saying, Krishna, give me your mercy. Sometimes when you ask people to do bhakti, and they say, what can I give Krishna? He has everything. He knows everything. He's omni, everything. So if I offer him a small ghee lamp, the sun is offering his light to it. So superficially the philosophy looks like it's valid, but the motivation is that the people are just lazy, that they don't want to do it. So then so this is Falbugyan. They're just taking shelter of bogus knowledge. Because Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yume Bhakte Prashate. He says, offer me. He offered me a leaf, a flower, and some water, and I will accept it. Right? So the offering is really a medium for us to express our love. So based on our endeavor, Krishna's mercy manifests. So earlier on, Krishna did not allow himself to get bound. But then he saw the determination of Mother Yashoda. And then his own Ichha Shakti became subservient to his mercy potency. And he binds, Yashoda Mai binds Krishna to the grinding water. Then all the gopis, they are like, okay, today's drama is over, so they go back to their respective houses. Yashoda Mai goes back into the kitchen to cook, and now Krishna is there, bound to the mortar. So Mother Yashoda is keeping an eye on him because she knows Krishna is naughty, and at the same time, as the news spread around, Krishna's Gopa friends, they all also came, and as children do, Krishna, when he's looking at his friends, he is putting up a very brave face. He's smiling at them. He's showing that nothing has happened. And when he turns and looks at his mother, then he puts on a very, very wretched face, that he's suffering very badly and he's in a lot of agony, lot of pain. So Balram gets upset, and Balram comes into the house, and so Balram is not a year older, 9 months older than Krishna. So he comes to the house, and then he starts getting angry on Yashodamai that, do you know who you have tied? He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can you treat like us? So Yashodamai says, you want me to tie you also? I can do that. So Balram, he beats a quick retreat and goes out. So then he comes with the other Gopa boys clandestinely. So they say, okay, the frontal assault didn't work, so let's do the clandestine approach. And then they try and open the knots with which Yashodamai has tied Krishna. But as much as they could try, they could not open the knots. And the reason is that Yashodamai had tied the knots in Vatsalya Rasa. And Balram and the Gopa boys, they are in Sakhya Ras. And Vatsalya Ras is superior to Sakhya Ras. So after trying for a while, they gave up on that. And as boys do, they lost interest in Krishna and went off to play. So now Krishna is all by himself. So even his friends they have gone off to play. Yashoda Mai is busy in the kitchen. And how am I doing with time? 7:14. I should stop now?
No, just complete the lead.
Okay. So Krishna then he notices the two Yamal Arjun trees in the courtyard. So they're ancient trees, very very tall, and Yamal Arjun trees are very strong. So their roots are very very deep. I think Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj was talking. A lot of those trees grow in. So Naveen Krishna will know. A lot of them grow in Mauritius. And he was talking about this situation that once there was a hurricane in Mauritius, and all the trees, they were uprooted, with the exception of the Arjun trees, because they had very very deep roots and the trees are strong. So these trees, they were actually sons of Kubera. In their previous lives, they were Nal Kubera and Managriva. And because their father was rich and opulent, they were young and handsome, they became intoxicated by it. So it is said of all the kinds of opulences that the person may have, which is birth in an exalted family, knowledge, fame, good looks, the most debilitating opulence is that of wealth. And Kuber is the treasurer of the demigods, very very rich. So they were so much intoxicated by pride that they were taking bath in the Mandakini river. So same, it's Ganges river in the heavenly planet is called Mandakini. So they were taking bath over there, and they were completely without any clothes. And along with them were women. And they were also without clothes, and they were intoxicated. So Narad Muni happened to go by, and when the women saw Narad Muni, then out of natural chastity, the women, they quickly covered themselves. But these two, they were completely shameless, and they just stood there waiting for Narad Muni to pass by. And when Narad Muni looked at them, he became very compassionate, saying that, look at these two living entities, what is it that they are making of their lives? So he cursed them to become trees. But with the curse, he gave them the benediction also, that you will be freed by Krishna. So because of that curse, they had become trees, and they were growing in the backyard of Nanda Baba. So Krishna looked at the trees, and Krishna is Krishna, so he knows everything. So he became compassionate towards the trees. So the acharyas say that Krishna was seeing the tree for a long time, but he never really cared about it. But when Mother Yashoda had bound him, now he became compassionate towards other living entities that are bound. So many times the jiva, they like this pastime because even though we were the cause of it, but Krishna has essentially bound us to this material world using 3 ropes. The ropes of the most material nature. So that's why it is said that when the jivas see Krishna bound, they are very happy. That you have bound us, now it's time for a little bit of you tasting what we are experiencing. So Krishna sees those 2 trees, and then he crawls between the tree, dragging the grinding mortar behind him, and it gets caught in the gap between the trees, and he pulls. And the trees, they uproot and they fall. So when they fall, the sound is like that of thunder, and it reverberates throughout the Vrindavan area. And Yashoda Mai, she comes running out of the kitchen, and where her courtyard used to be, there are two big trees that have fallen there. And she knew that Krishna was there in the courtyard. So you can imagine what was going through her heart, and she fell unconscious. So the other people in the village, they came running out, and they climbed over the tree, and of course Krishna was unhurt, and he was playing in the tree. Before that, there is a slight conversation that happens between when Krishna uproots the tree. Then Managriva and Nalkuber, they appear, and they glorify Krishna. They circumambulate him, and then they return to their heavenly kingdom. So Nand Baba, he also, in the meantime, has come, and he immediately he sees Krishna tied to a grinding mortar lying between the two trees, and his rasa is also Vatsalya, so he quickly untied the knots, and he picked up Krishna. And in the meantime, the gopis, they revived Mother Yashoda. They told her there's nothing, your Lala is okay. But Krishna is very angry with Yashoda Mai, that he is not looking at her. And Nand Baba is also very angry with Yashoda Mai, that how can you punish a child like this? What if something? So he is not angry at her. He just as a parent, he's angry at the situation. But she is in his mind, she is to some extent the cause of it. And Yashoda Mai, she's crying both in regret and mostly in relief. So when Krishna sees his mother crying, then he crawls up to her again, and he again climbs up into her lap, and Mother Yashoda, she begins to feed him again. And the acharyas say that is what Krishna wanted all the time. He wanted to be fed, and if Yashoda Mai had just continued to feed him, all this drama would not have happened. But Krishna does these leelas again to give us many valuable information. And also Krishna, he it's to some extent we have reflections of that in our contemporary psychology, but it is more purified in the spiritual world, that if there is a single rasa, it becomes boring. Krishna is called Rasa Raj because he is able to accept many rasas there. So if in Vrindavan it was just everybody serving Krishna, everybody happily serving Krishna, then Krishna would be bored and the devotees would be bored. That's why all these leelas are happening. That is why Srimati Radharani, she has to do all this planning to meet Krishna. Then Radharani's mother-in-law and sister-in-law, Chatila Kutila, they are spying on Radharani. There is this whole drama that's being done. And so many other, there are demons that are coming. People sometimes ask that if Krishna is God, why doesn't he just make everything okay? Just no demons there. If Krishna wills it, there will be no demon there. If Krishna wills it, then everything becomes as he wants. But at the end of the day, Krishna is Anandmay. Krishna is pleasure seeking, and this is the essence of the pleasure. So just like when you cook, if you just use one ingredient, regardless of how healthy it is or how tasty it is, the food will not be tasty. The real taste of the food comes when you bring together so many different things, and then they complement each other. So discussing the pastime of Radha Damodar in the month of Kartik is very auspicious. Sukdev Goswami says, acharyas say that one who hears with faith will get an opportunity to participate in Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world. So we all hope and pray that by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the mercy of the Acharyas, we are able to make advancements and able to serve Yashodamai or whatever capacity we are able to serve devotees and serve Krishna. So I'll stop over here. Any questions or comments?
One question. So you said about the analogy which you used about the churning of milk, and I understand, like in terms of, from misinterpretation about the Vedas, like mental speculation and everything. That's what Krishna wanted to stop it. But I understand Yashodama was completely absorbed, right, in Krishna at that moment, right? And I don't think so. Can that analogy be used to in a human mind when we are also thinking at the same time a lot of thought processes are going on, and what is the root cause where we can stop that, something can, I'm not sure if that analogy is being used indifferently, because that's been used from mode of mental speculations, right, where they can
different metaphor. So I'll paraphrase it, and if you can tell me if I have it right. The question is that Yashodamai, being a devotee, was fully absorbed in Krishna, but she was also churning, which I said indicates churning in the mind, mental speculation. So Prabhu is asking that does that mean that Krishna, or does that mean that a devotee fully absorbed in the service of Krishna can also mentally speculate, or will also mentally speculate there? So like I said, it's a metaphor. If a devotee is fully absorbed in Krishna, then there's no scope for mental speculation, because you're fully everything, all your senses, your mind, they're all dovetailed in the service that you're doing. In our cases, because we are Mishra Bhaktas, we have a little bit of devotion and a little bit of material attraction. So we are never executing Shuddha Bhakti. We're doing Mishra Bhakti. So yes, that happens in our case, right? When we are chanting, our mind is all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
When we are doing service in the temple, different things are going on. So in that context, the metaphor is more appropriate. That yes, the understanding is to try and get our mind back again and again to whatever service we are doing, as opposed to speculating on it. Does that answer it?
Sure.
Sachi,
So, serving Krishna, there are so many different ways, and especially mentioned about those 9 type of the ways that we can. What is the significance of offering the lamp in this particular month? And why it is associated with this particular thing?
offering of the lamb. It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, other than the fact that that's what we are told. The benediction is given that in the month of Damodar, singing Damodar Ashtakam, it's there in the Padma Puran, that in the month of Damodar, offering a lamp and singing Damodar Ashtakam attracts the mercy of Krishna. But I guess your question is, why a lamp? Why not a chamar? Why not a flower?
So many other
Or so many other things. I don't have a good answer for that.
Should the lamp be linked to the Diwali lamp that we, because when Ram Bhagwan came back, Ayodhya was decorated with lamps to welcome him.
Not that I know.
Or maybe because it's winter and it's so dark and it's just lights up and warmth, right? So many lamps will bring warmth.
All very good ideas.
I just wanted to add that this Lila actually happened on the day of Diwali. So that's the reason all the gopis, Mother Yashoda had sent all the gopis to their houses. She said, just go and decorate your houses, you have so much work to do. and you go and celebrate Diwali with your family, and I'll take care of Krishna. Don't worry about it. And that's how then she started, the journey. And she was all alone by herself with Krishna, and she was really enjoying her time with Krishna and feeding him, and then the whole Lila happened. And she would tell also about how the flowers of her were falling from her hair and what they were thinking. That's really sweet.
Oh yeah, cover about that. So
Just teasing Krishna.
right. So when Mother Yashoda is chasing Krishna, then Mother Yashoda has malati flowers in her hair. They are white, fragrant flowers. And as she is chasing Krishna, some of the flowers they are falling off her hair. And the acharyas say that again because the flowers are also cognizant. So there are some flowers who are saying that what is she doing? This is the personality of Godhead, and she's running after him with a stick. So we can't associate with such a devotee. So you jump off her. And then other flowers are thinking that look at her, look at how potent a devotee she is, that even the personality of Godhead is scared of her. So we should not be at her head, we should be at her lotus feet. So they jump off the hair and get and fall under her feet. And there's some flowers that are thinking, let's see what's going on, what's going to happen now. So they stay over there.
And some were also thinking that, we're slowing her down. We're too heavy, and so we're slowing her down. So let's just jump off and make her feel light make her run faster.
Yeah.
So they also jump off. It was really cute.
That's a little too many flowers in the hair.
Yeah, she's the queen of the garden, so she's
She had
decorated.
long hair.
Yeah.
Also, malati flowers are very small.
Yeah.
They're small and very, very fragrant flowers. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Only when we hear from devotees who have love for Krishna, then only we can relish the way we are relishing now. I just wanted to thank you.
So we'll do Damodar Ashtakam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.